Are you frustrated with how your footage looks in your final video? Did you know editing can help? Editing is where you add transitions and sound effects and color grading and anything that really adds a stylized look to your footage. If you're thinking that you need to step up your editing, then keep watching because I'm going to go through the 5 tips that I think every editor should know. And if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Adrienne and I make tutorials on video editing. And if you'd like some more editing tips, I have a link below in the description box. And now let's get into it. Tip number 1. Organize your footage. It doesn't matter if you're working on a YouTube video or your next indie feature. Organization is critical. If everything is organized, then all of your footage will be right there at your fingertips when the lightning bolt of creativity strikes. Here, let me show you my folder structure for my YouTube tutorials. As you can see, I have a folder here called folder structure. This never changes. I just copy and paste the contents into each new video that I make. This is where I save my project, and this is also where things like the scratch discs go. Next up is footage. For me, that includes B-roll footage, screen capture footage, and talking head, which is me right now. Under exports, I have YouTube. And then I've got shorts, the thumbnail, and the actual YouTube full-length tutorial. Right now, I do put some stuff on Instagram, and I have that divided up between Reels and Stories. Tip number 2, use templates and presets. This is such an easy way to cut down on your editing time, and it really especially applies to things like YouTube videos. If you find yourself usually making a lot of similar kinds of videos, then try creating a preset for a situation or a look that you're usually after. For me, I have a color grading preset that I use on my talking head clips, and I also have a picture-in-picture preset for when I want to use my screen capture footage in a tutorial, but I would still like for you to be able to see my face. Rather than spending hours of your time creating an effect from scratch, go use a template, and all you have to do is modify it in order to fit your needs. Premiere Pro has a bunch of these templates already preloaded. You can get video openers, you can get lower thirds, you can get logos, almost anything that you're looking for. Tip number 3, shorten your music. I have almost never used a complete song from start to finish with no cuts in a video or a project where I haven't paid for custom music. And this is where the remix tool comes in. Now, I do have a longer tutorial on the remix tool, and I'll leave it linked up above. And that's there for you if you want a more in-depth explanation on this tool. But here, I'll show you. The tool is located over here in the toolbar, underneath the Ripple Edit tool, all the way down to Remix. Now, maybe you're in a position where paying for Premiere Pro or another audio editing software simply isn't in your budget, and that's just fine. All you have to do is take your music, lay it on the timeline, cut out the middle section, and then look for beats in the waveform that you can overlap in order to make that seamless transition. Tip number 4, use stock footage. I used to feel like stock footage looked super cheesy, and I really felt like I had this hard line. If I didn't shoot it, I'm not going to use it. But as soon as I started working for myself, I realized that it was going to be far too expensive and far too time consuming to shoot everything myself. For example, I just posted a tutorial on how to make your drone videos less boring. Now, in my work, I almost never need drone footage. And frankly, I don't have the time to plan out all my shots, make sure that I am allowed to fly in really specific locations, and then take the time to drive all over the place to get all the shots that I need. So for that tutorial, I used a bunch of drone stock footage, and it was so much easier, and it was so much faster, and it was so much cheaper. And frankly, it looks great. And am I making tutorials on drone cinematography? Or am I making tutorials on editing techniques? Tip number 5, keyboard shortcuts. I love keyboard shortcuts. I use them all the time. Whenever I learn a new one, I really try to practice it in order to be able to incorporate it into my regular workflow. But here is just one shortcut that I want to emphasize to you: trimming your tops and tails. If you go up to Premiere Pro, you can click on keyboard shortcuts and you can see an image of your keyboard and you can see what all of the default shortcuts are. Here you can see Q is ripple trim previous edit to playhead, and W is ripple trim next edit to playhead. Let's take a look and see what this means. I'm going to go down to my timeline and pull down that same clip in the coffee shop. A barista is making coffee. Let's say that I only want to use the middle section of this clip. If I was not using keyboard shortcuts, I would go over to the toolbar and I would select the razor tool, and then I would move the playhead here and I would click the razor tool, and then I would move the playhead down, and then I would click to make a cut, and then I would go over to the toolbar and I'd hit the selection tool, and then I'd delete the beginning of the clip and I delete the end of the clip. It doesn't have to be that long and that tedious. I move the playhead to the place where I want to make my first cut. And what I want to do is make a cut and delete the unused part of the clip to the left of the playhead. So I hit Q, and that's exactly what Premiere Pro does for me. It makes a cut at that place on the clip, and it deletes the footage from that clip to the left of the playhead. Now I'll drag the playhead to the end of the clip, and we'll say, okay, that's all I want. So then I hit W, and it trims the end of the clip away. And all you're left with is this one piece that you wanted to keep to use in your video. Using Q and W is far more efficient. Yes, you only saved a little bit of time with that one little edit. But think about how many cuts you make across an entire video. If you started using Q and W all the time, all of that saved time would really start to add up. And that's it for me. I hope you found this helpful. Give this video a thumbs up if you did. Hit subscribe if you'd like to see more. Please share any tips that you have in the comments below. We all want to know. And I'll see you in the next one.